Yo guys, welcome to the last lap. Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. Welcome back to the Last Lap podcast, everyone. From me, Tommo, from him, Minton. You might get some barks and woofs today. How you doing, mate? Better insight than Niran, anyway.
Oh, wow.
Surely.
Yeah. He's got good analysis, to be fair, as Minton. He's just a little bit like stage fright at the moment.
He's a big Hamilton fan.
Oh, nice.
That's one of his trigger words.
He's got that dog in him.
He's got that dog in him.
Yeah,
absolutely. As has today's guest, Aldas.
By the way, can I just say, I can't believe you're leaving Minton bare like that on camera as well. I mean,
we might have to pixelate that. I was going to say. I might have to get the little
cover it up. All right. No, look, listen, he's a good boy. Are you going to walk on the desk? Maybe he will. Just gonna...
I want to see his will knowledge. I'm doing good, though. I'm doing good. Looking forward to this.
How's your little dog, Kimmy, by the way? He's named after...
Kimi Räikkönen. That was my idea, by the way. I won with that. That was a brilliant. Although everyone always thinks it's a girl, because no one gets that Kimi can also be like a man's name as well.
Yeah.
So when he got his haircut, he was like, oh my God, she's so great. I was like, no, it's a him.
Well, if you're watching on audio-only platforms, you won't be able to see Minton, I'm afraid. But never mind.
So that's why you tune on YouTube, like and subscribe.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
5 stars, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. Probably on like LinkedIn or something as well. I don't know.
MySpace, all those vibes.
Yeah, all of them.
Niran, before we get into it, I want to ask about your latest Quadrant video.
Yeah, right.
If anyone hasn't seen it, it's explain to the audience watching what you put yourself through on that.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, lads. Out of context, this is going to sound absolutely crazy, but I did eat a testicle.
You actually ate the testicle?
Yeah, I did have to eat that. It was.
Did it stay down?
It did. I don't know what that means.
So it passed all the way through then?
Yep. Yeah. So it was.
You were shitting balls.
You know he had that one lined up all night.
He did.
Do you know that? He was thinking about it last night.
He asked the question with that in mind.
You give me too much credit, boys.
Yeah, no, honestly, I did have to. Yeah, I also had to eat like an egg that was like a 1,000-year egg or whatever, but it wasn't actually 1,000 years old. I mean, unless it was a dinosaur egg. It did look like that, to be honest.
Did Lando end up eating anything?
No, he was just a host.
How did he get out of that?
I know.
I mean, to be fair, he is CEO, so I guess he
Well,
calls the
also,
shots, right?
if we gave him an egg that was like from 64 BC and he got ill, like it's game over.
True. But like even like hot sauce.
Lando, we will get you to do the eating stuff next time. Yeah, we're gonna get you eating.
The questions just weren't spicy enough. You know, I should have been there. I should have been there to put the heat on him.
True.
And then he would have eaten everything.
Fact.
Put the
We'll get you on when we actually get him to eat the stuff. We'll get you on.
Get a heart rate machine on.
Yeah.
Get Aldas to grill him.
160 beats per minute.
To be fair, no, I remember you didn't Quadrant do a video with him eating hot sauce, and he like can't handle any.
Yeah, he
heat at all.
cannot. Yeah, he was drinking milk by like the gallon. Like he was
on brand.
Ill the next day.
Yes, true. Very on brand.
Yeah, true. Actually, very true.
How we well, in the meantime, how we fill in our was it a 3-week break we've got at the minute?
Yeah, I know. It was meant to be China, wasn't it? In this space.
It was.
Boy, it's kind of.
I tweeted about an hour after Australia, like, oh, when's the next race? I missed it already.
Yeah, we should have just had an impromptu Grand Prix, I reckon.
I think they should have just made it happen, like
Just as the car park.
Just wherever everyone is, just link up.
M25.
Motorsport Valley, everyone, like 7 of the teams are really close together. So.
Yeah, just bring the cars. We'll just do.
What was it, Milton Keynes Daytona kart track? Do you know what I mean? Just get them down there.
Milton Keynes Grand Prix. What do you know what I mean? Like the world needs that.
I was
What
reading.
does it need?
I was reading an article. It was one of the team principals was talking about how this should actually be the norm, having like an extended break after 3 races. Have a guess which team principal it was. Who's got a vested interest right now in there being quite a long break between this race and?
Was it Zach Brown?
I mean, who's shit?
No,
Ready for Sir.
think a bit deeper. Who had a really expensive time in Australia?
Oh, Alpine.
Wow. Yeah.
Otmar Safnauer. I was like, coming up.
They need to patch those French mobiles up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. It's like 3 races.
don't like it.
I don't like it. We're 3 races
like
into the
it.
season, and all of a sudden it's like a weird kind of not a winter break, but like
Summer break,
after summer break. Exactly. It's obviously just a situational things of China, but they should have found a race like Mugello. Do you know what I mean? I would have loved to have Mugello back on the calendar, but it's
I'm
annoying.
surprised because like
Loses momentum, don't you, a little bit when
Yeah.
you've had the first 3 Grand Prix of the season actually, pretty decent, and it's just like, oh, okay, right, cool. So
And
See you in a month, lads.
the amount like Stefano's been mouthing off about, oh, we could have 30 Grand Prix. Like,
He is waffling,
okay, well, there's
mate.
the space. Like, I don't understand why they didn't find
Do you
a
know
way
that
to fill
Pep
it.
Guardiola meme? I'm going to be there. Literally
I'll
any
be
race
there.
on the planet.
We'll
Stefano
be there.
Domenicali, I'm going to be there no matter what. That is literally him.
Will be there.
No,
Exactly.
I think it's one of them that, yeah, hopefully we won't get this going forward. But it will be 24 races every season from next season onwards. Like, I think that's... Yeah,
and there's
pretty
enough
set
in the
stone.
Concord Agreement for 25. You know, he's...
Oh, really? Is it 25?
Yeah, yeah.
in the
There's enough in the
Concord?
Concord Agreement for 25. So another race in America. I'm sure they could squeeze one in somewhere.
Where would it be? California.
I think they're looking for South Africa. They're looking to, you know...
Yeah, come on.
They want to get there for sure. And I think the circuit, there was some news about the circuit just being like homologized at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'd love to have we've all know, like, have a race in South Africa. That'd be amazing. But just to complete kind of all of the continents, Formula One is a global sport. We have so many races in Europe, and there is a lot of like European elitism about all of the tracks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we can't expand, but there's not.
Kyle Lama's got history in F1. Like, he used to
Exactly,
race
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I think back in
that
like
was-
the early 90s was like the last time. But yeah, it's definitely, especially now with the sport growing even more. So there's definitely room, I think, for 25. But it just makes the season even more packed. I mean, how did you guys feel at the end of last year? That was 22 races? I forget now. Because I think
23,
Russia
wasn't it?
was
I think in the
cancelled,
end.
wasn't it?
I think it was
something like
20. It was 22 because
Was it 22?
there was 2 11.
Yeah.
definitely.
But how did you feel by the end of that season? Were you like, oh, I can't wait for the next one? Were you like, okay, it's time to take a break?
That's the,
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I think because
I
of
guess
last
we've got
year...
a unique perspective, haven't we? Because we work in it. As
Yeah,
well.
true. So you do sort of have that added, planning and filming for it and stuff, which might take it out of you a bit more. But I don't know. I think last year I was kind of like wanting a little bit more, just because I felt like we didn't get a title race at all. So I was just kind of like,
It was like over by like mid-season. It was like
so
done.
it felt like the season was kind of just a wrap anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I think if you follow the sport casually, then I think adding more races is always going to have more value.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as like too much football if you're into football. Like,
Yeah,
there's always
exactly.
football on all the time.
Yeah.
Although speaking from like a content creator's point of view, like we
yeah.
both know when it was the off season, it was dead.
Yeah.
I was just like, get this season back ASAP, and everything's already gone out, which I was like buzzing about.
Scraping the bottom of the barrel. Although there are talks of format changes already, and we've heard it's not been confirmed, but like very legit sources have been talking about how the sprint weekend is going to slightly change. And I think we've got six this year. It was meant to be a quarter of all races, obviously China taken away. But what do we think of what's been suggested? Because basically the idea is that it's the same as it is currently, but there's no FP2 on a Saturday morning. There is qualifying specifically for the sprint race.
Yeah, so the Saturday is almost like it's a sprint day full stop.
its own
On
event.
Saturday,
Sprint week, yeah. it's a sprint
exactly.
day,
Like you
yeah.
have the qualifying for the sprint and the sprint all on Saturday. I mean, I'm a big fan of it. I was never one of those, because when sprints were first announced, there was a lot of people that went both ways. They either hated it or they loved it. I was one of those that I always gave it a go. I don't mind Formula One going in a different direction, trying something new. And whether you love it or you hate it, like the sprints do add less practice to the top teams, and that's when we see a bit more chaos. Like even last year, when you look at the sprints, I mean, Sao Paulo kind of delivered. That was a great.
And the
one,
race
so-
delivered after as well. Because I remember obviously Kevin Magnussen got that pole, and it was like, we're just going to get sort of the natural order of things filtering through. But then the actual race was sick as well.
And he was able to get points as well, because that was the big
Yeah.
thing. Haas just wanted a clean kind of sprint to get because I think it's the top 6 that get points in the sprint, or the top 8, I forget.
I think it's 8.
The top 8.
it's top 8.
And they were just hanging on to the points. So there was even a bit of kind of like a bit of intrigue there. So
Yeah.
I think the sprint actually has added something to the calendar. I don't think it's something that I'd want for every single race, because then you'd have to look at, you've got to give the teams a bit more money then, because, if you're going to put even more races, and then if all of them were sprints, like that's a lot of chaos. So I think about 6 or 7, maybe a third of the year max is about right. But I'm a big fan so far.
I'm interested by like sort of the dynamic of how hard drivers are going to try now in a sprint, because I feel like there was the whole element of if you retired from the sprint, for example, you're at the back for the actual Grand Prix. If you've got separate qualifying now for sprint and then for the race, are we going to see drivers trying the audacious moves a little bit more in the sprint because they don't have to worry about the grid for the race?
Yeah, I mean, look, people were questioning when we brought the sprint in, how much the driver's going to risk, because what's the benefit? And I don't think these drivers, like, when they're racing, they're racing. I mean, we saw, I think Fernando Alonso, I remember, at Silverstone.
The first ever. So this was a big question going into the first ever sprint. I was actually there, which was amazing. In 2021 at Silverstone. I mean, we were there as well. And so to see it live was amazing. And there was that big question: Are drivers really going to go for it? I mean, it's the first one. Maybe they'll take it back. Fernando Alonso did not hold back.
Didn't he make up like 3 places
that
right at the
first lap
start?
was unbelievable. Yeah. And that kind of, I think, set the tone because that was a season where there was a lot on the line for all of the teams. So I think that the drivers don't hold back. It's in their nature to just go for it. You know what I mean? Like they don't know too much to hold back. So I think it's going to be exciting.
I mean, we see drivers scrapping for P13, P14 at the minute, which literally offers you nothing. Like you don't get anything. Like there's only downside really. But the drivers are going to race. I mean, think how hard they race for P10. 1 point. Which is the same as what you get for fastest lap if you finish in top 10. So I don't think, I'm not worried about that. And again, I think inevitably the whole calendar will be sprint races. I think
really?
Eventually it will. Of course, like you look at how many more people, I mean, I think, even us as like diehard F1 fans, like on a Friday, we'll like always watch practice. I'll try and catch the start of FP1.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy that woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning to watch FP1.
And you're part of the like less than 1%. That's the thing. Like most people won't watch a Friday.
Yeah, I'll watch the highlights
majority.
on YouTube. Get me? I'll just sit down and go, all right, cool, let me see the order.
Like, didn't you turn up for the race after like a night out just because it was like close enough? Like,
yeah, that did happen. That was the last live show.
Top quality.
Of course. But that's the thing. It's like ultimately the numbers are higher on a Friday when it's a sprint weekend because there's competitive running, because there's qualifying. So it's going to happen. It will be gradually, drip fed. Now we've got 6 races. Then it might be 8 next year.
Half
then maybe
calendar,
10.
Yeah,
it will get there. But again, like
then it'll be 30 Grand Prix. So then we'll have 30 sprint weekends.
The sports, and look, obviously Liberty. I'm quite happy with sprint races. Like I'm quite happy with them as a concept. I can accept that. Does that mean I endorse every single decision Liberty are going to make? No, because they are prioritised with maximising shareholder profits. Because F1, what's the F1 stock hashtag? Is it F wonk or something?
F wonk.
Yeah, I think wonk. I think that's what it's called. FWONK. I think that's what it's called.
F wonk.
Formula Wonk.
I think that's what it's called. But the stonks are up, mate.
Formula stonk.
If you
by the way, I need to make a T-shirt of that. Like copyright Aldas.
Yeah. All right, good.
F wonk.
That's on the record. That's on record.
Maybe it's not called that. I think it's called that, but no, I'm open to it. I'm open to seeing him do something different.
The only thing I'm not open to that you've talked about constantly on Twitter, one-shot quali.
Well, they're not going to do one shot, but they're still going to do Q1, 2, Q3, but allegedly what we're hearing is that it's going to be shortened sessions. So, for example, in Q3, you're only going to get a chance to set 1 lap.
I like that. Okay, that's good, yeah.
So because the time's restricted.
So that's almost like at the same time. It's one shot and...
It's a happy medium.
Yeah. It's good. That's good.
Because things about one shot is that I remember watching a few, like, because obviously I actually wasn't watching Formula 1 back then, but they had one shot in the early 2000s, I think like 2005. And the thing is, it's cool for like the first, as a novelty for like the first few, like, oh my God, this is amazing. But then you're watching like the Minardis and all the cars at the back, and you're like, if you just get to the front, guys, it gets boring watching the guys. I mean, think about it now. You're watching like Nick De Vries do a lap, Yuki Tsunoda. You're waiting for constantly to see the top guys, the ones that you want to watch in qualifying. So that's the thing about one shot that gets a little bit boring.
I like
just
the
waiting for the
top
top cars.
Qualifying format as well.
Exactly. People get caught out.
Traffic. That's the thing, because I would argue that overall, actually, one shot is fairer because you take away traffic.
Yeah, it is.
Take away
but track conditions.
Slipstreaming.
Track conditions.
Like look at Kevin Magnussen.
Yeah, but they
conditions change.
Yeah, but they improve for the most part in the drive. They improve as the session goes on. So who goes last is the championship leader. So that means Max Verstappen is always going to get the best track conditions in quality.
It's FP1, reverse FP1, because then you incentivize people to go quicker in FP1.
Nah, it's too confusing.
Nah, he just knows it makes sense.
And then De Vries will be like the last person to go.
No, but the thing is, the field spread is a lot closer now, right? So say Nick De Vries goes out first, like he got to Q2 last race, like both AlphaTauris did. So I feel like as the field spread closes up, and say for example, the whole field is within 7-8 tenths, which I think is feasible.
It was 1.1 in Q1. It was 1.1 seconds in Bahrain, which is unreal.
And the more that tightens up, the more ultimately, right? If you're in a car that's half a second clear of the next best car, you can afford to have a bit of a sloppy lap and still put it on pole. if the whole field is converging, there's more pressure. I mean, you look at like the true meritocracy, like F1 esports, the whole field spread can be in Q1 like 3/10.
It's insane. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I know a lot about F1 esports, but there was like, I think there was a screenshot someone showed of like one of the qualifying sessions. I think maybe like 2/200ths of a second was like the top 10. I was like, oh my God, these guys are on crack. Like, I don't know how they do it, but that's crazy.
That's what a true meritocracy can achieve.
Yeah.
Right? But I just think as time goes on, maybe it will get better. But then not all the drivers are happy. Max has said that, well, I mean, the quote was basically, if they keep changing it, I'm off.
Yeah, paraphrasing, I'm out of here, mate.
I don't know. I think maybe he was just having a bit of a bad day and we just couldn't be asked with it. Maybe it's like...
As you do as the championship leader in the dominant car, you know?
Yeah, he slapped open iRacing and got peppered and was just like, you know what, lads? I'm out of here. Don't like this racing shit anymore.
Although, to be fair, I think Max is the only driver where I genuinely... I could see him retiring in his early 30s. Once he's won 4, 5, whatever, how many world championships, I think he is the type of guy that wants to do maybe IndyCar, definitely wants to do Le Mans. He's definitely talked about, stuff like that. So he's the only kind of that kind of level driver I could see him retiring quite early. So with him, I don't doubt it.
So early as well. So even by the time he's like 31, he's been in the sport for like 14 years.
Exactly, it's nuts.
Lewis was 22, I think, in his debut year. Max was 17. That's 5 years different. So it's almost like you've got to look at their careers like an offset 5 years almost to get like a true like. Yes, age is a number, as we know. Fernando Alonso still doing it well into his 40s.
Yeah. Tommo still doing it almost well into his 30s as well.
I tell you what, last time I had a haircut, I looked down and there was so much grey, and I was like, oh,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not seeing any right now. Have you dyed your hair?
Nah, not yet. It's coming. It's coming. One day. I'll get the little blonde tips. To be fair, in the sun, my hair goes blonde at the tips. Maybe not anymore. Maybe it'll just go grey at the tips.
Should I get frosted tips as well?
Yeah. We'll all do it, yeah?
Yeah. You've seen me. I've already had like blonde highlights in the summer, so it's coming back.
You love it.
If Ferrari... No,
that's not realistic, mate. Whatever you're about to say.
Whatever I'm about to say, it's not going to happen anyway, so it doesn't matter.
If they get a double point score, maybe,
honestly, yeah.
If Ferrari break down?
If they go 3 weeks without some kind of foolishness, nah.
Impossible.
Well, what about, if Max doesn't like him messing around with it, what about, how do we feel about the idea of reverse grid sprints?
He'll be gone. He'll actually leave.
No, but ignore the tank. Like, would you want it? Would you like
I'm here for it.
I'm not here for reverse grid.
You're too much of a purist.
No. I actually am a little bit. Do you know why? It's because if you have a Formula One manufacturers, like Constructors Championship, where you get, points for building the best car because you obviously, do well in the races. I just hate these little because you're so shit, you can go to the front, There you go. Nick De Vries, you've had a howler. Pole position for you. I don't like that in Formula One. Like, if you build a bad car, that's your problem. That's tough.
Punished.
Like, I don't like this kind of handy down, you can go at the front. I just don't like that. So, and that's why, because I think now some of the midfield teams, like, the Mercedes and the Ferrari upper midfield, You've got to build a better car if you want to get back to the top. There's no easy route, and it's pure hard work through the money, through the cost cap, and so that's why I'm not a big fan of like reverse grid. It gives too much.
What about F2 style? Just the top 10.
But they've got the same cars. They've got the same chassis. That's the difference.
Yeah, but if you just reverse the top 10, because then you're still like.
I actually still don't like that.
I think that's better than like completely reversing the whole thing.
Yeah, that's better because then, because if you're Alpha Tower, you've turned up with your worst car in like 10 years and you're getting pole position.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
although then I suppose
you can't be stat padding with the worst car on the grid and thinking it's legit. Like, oh, look at this pole, brilliant.
I guess the teams that just squeeze through to Q3, they'll just like, I don't know how they decide if they just don't go out.
Yeah, then you could
start getting stupid shit happening.
Yeah, that's the problem.
The only thing.
And one thing I've always said about both Formula 2 and Formula 3 is that, in a really simplistic way, it's almost like the school for Formula 1. So that's why they give their drivers so much more opportunity to race wheel to wheel, because to get kind of the roughness out, to get, to become a lot more professional drivers, a lot more cleaner drivers, so that by the time you get to Formula 1, where there isn't that as much opportunity to race, there isn't as much carnage because I don't know if you guys watched the Formula 3 race in Australia. First time F3 has ever been to Australia. A lot of young drivers. I mean, the guys in F3 are 16, 17, 18 years old.
A couple of people in that grid didn't know it was a right-hander.
It was honestly, mate,
like,
it was
I don't know which one I'm
absolute
doing.
bumper cars. It was like, oh wait, where's the brakes? Oh, it's the left one.
Yeah.
It was like it was absolute carnage. But that's why when you're a young driver in Formula 3 and Formula 2, you get loads of different races, you get, kind of different formats to get the roughness out, to kind of sharpen your skills. So by the time you're at Formula 1, you're, at your peak.
Even if you're like top tier qualifying, you're putting it on pole every week. It stops you just checking out every race. It means that you have to fight through from P10.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think, like you say, it's a finishing school for. You're meant to be going into F1 after that.
Yeah.
That's a step up, and I think we've seen, broadly speaking, there's a few examples to the contrary, but I'd say broadly speaking, we've seen rookies, particularly obviously like Logan and Oscar have adapted really well, I think, to F1. They've done.
Yeah, they look like seasoned pros.
except for when he
actually
punted De Vries in Australia. Also
Yeah,
forgot his
true.
break.
that is
certainly a big mark on his report card.
Yeah, I think he just forgot. I think there was a lot going on.
Just
in front
forgot
Of
to-
him. There was a lot going on in front of him. He was like, "Oh my god, Alonso's just arm out."
No, but you know what my favorite thing about that Logan start? If you actually watch the onboard, he actually starts ahead of De Vries. He gets a shocking start. So he's actually last, and he actually backs out a little bit. So he's got he's looking at the entire field. He's got so much time to think, and he still locks up, and he still like punts De Vries off. I just love it.
Yeah.
He had more reactions. He had more time to react than anyone else, and he still got it wrong. It's like-
No penalty. Well
Yeah,
done.
no
Logan.
penalty.
You played
Brilliant.
a blinder there.
Yeah.
By the way,
that
I
was the
posted
thing.
that on Twitter, and then it got unfortunately got taken away by F1. I got an email saying you're going to go to jail if you post
You
any
got
more.
an email?
I got from Twitter because it was copyright content.
Oh,
you're
right.
Yeah, that's
You're
why you got to tweet the video. You just got to right click tweet the video.
I
'cause
thought
it's
you meant
not
like
you.
signed Stefano email.
Oh right, yeah.
That got a lot of
you'll
traction, by the way. I
delete
got like 12k likes. I was like, stonks.
Yeah. Did
Love it.
Karoon reply to it?
He did, yeah.
Stonks.
And I was like, yes, I'm doing your job, Karoon. I know it's not consistent.
It was Karun that actually gave you the copyright claim.
Oh
It was
my
like,
God.
you can't
I
be
was
doing
surprised
this.
it actually was.
We've also got to talk about a certain. If we turn the tables back to 2008, what's Felipe
I
Massa
remember.
playing at?
Oh yeah.
What's he playing at?
He wants his title.
What's he playing at?
Yeah. So what? So
Do
obviously.
you explain, Niran, what's going on?
Yeah, so I think there's revelations that the FIA kind of knew what was going down with Crashgate before the end of the season.
Which was when Nelson Piquet Jr. crashed on purpose.
Yeah, at Singapore to earn Fernando Alonso a win and
to appease the
By the way,
sponsors.
just off topic, I love when that stat keeps popping up because F1 keeps doing these like, oh, how far back has someone won? And Fernando Alonso is always like in second place because he won that race in like 15th place.
Yeah.
And then all of the comments are just like about that race. I love it.
Because he kept the win, didn't he?
Yeah, he
did.
Pitted,
Yeah.
what, lap 15, whatever it was.
Legitimate in my book.
And then PK. What I get is comments from Bernie, and Bernie says a lot of things. That's the problem. And two of the people who knew the most, Mosley and Whiting, they're both no longer with us, so they can't, extrapolate on what actually
Happened.
was known and
Yeah.
what wasn't known. Because apparently Mosley's quite. I think in his autobiography saying that Whiting had made him aware of rumours before the end of the season. But obviously, if they're just rumours and you can't.
And also keep in mind, like, they kind of knew about the rumors beforehand, but in Formula One, like there's got to be a fair, like, almost trial process because that's what happened in 2009. Like, they took evidence from the team, they did their judgment, and then they found out that they did, fix that race. So you couldn't have sorted that before 2008. So it's one of those weird things that's just come up out of nowhere. The fact that Felipe Massa has just gone, yeah, I'll sue them now. Maybe we'll see what's up. He has said that it's not for like monetary. He's not trying to get money out of it.
Yeah.
And then everyone's now, Lewis is like a 6-time world champion, and some people are going, well, surely they should just be disqualified. What does that have to do with Lewis? So it's just this weird kind of thing that's come up out of nowhere. I mean, just years later, which is just a bit odd.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, because if you go down the whole route of like, oh yeah, Felipe should have won the title, then there was other things like during that season that like that held Lewis back. For example, you could go, oh, Lewis shouldn't have got that penalty. Was it Belgium?
Yeah, it
With
was-
Raikkonen.
Yeah, that was really
and it's
soft.
like, well,
really
so
soft.
where'd you draw the line? Like, we could just
Yeah,
go forever,
exactly.
like, sort of.
And also,
Exactly.
I don't know if I'm right. Wasn't it that race, Singapore 2008, where Felipe was like refueling and then Ferrari
Yes.
like bodged the pit stop and
Well,
it was
that's
like a
the whole
massive
reason.
fuel fire?
That's the whole
Yeah.
reason. Felipe probably should have won that race.
Yeah.
And then the lights were faulty, so the lights told him to go out when the fuel hose was still attached.
Yeah.
Now, look, that's a team like that. These things happen. Like
It's
Ferrari,
Ferrari
it's
as well,
Ferrari.
so we
exactly.
have
The heritage of Ferrari.
15
We know
years
they have it
ago.
all now.
15 years and it's the same shit. Like, and that's the thing, right? You could. I think the fairest way would be to disqualify the Renaults because, they were the ones culpable. Yes, you can say, well, that had changed everyone else's race, but that wasn't even the last race of the season. There was still, I think, at least 2 rounds after that.
Yeah, because the argument would then be, okay, you disqualify even if somehow this was like right to disqualify the Renaults, then you'd move everyone up in the points in that race.
Yeah, and Lewis would have won by even more.
Yeah, exactly. I think
He'd won by
he would
3 points instead of 1.
Exactly. So it's one of the weird. Yeah, people would just want to disqualify that entire race. It's exactly.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, disqualifying, taking the whole race result away just makes no sense.
But also,
it still happened.
Let's just say they did it, right? Let's just say they gave. Not only does that open a precedent for what about like Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, 94, whenever that was.
Yeah.
Jacques Villeneuve, there's so many examples where
everyone's just going to start suing everyone.
To overturning,
make Prost a 5-time world champion now.
Sometimes you just have to take it for what it is. Because also, if they gave it to Felipe, I don't know, would it surely it just. I don't know.
They'd never do it. Yeah, the problem is it would bring your own sport into disrepute. It'd be it would make a joke out of the sport anyway. So it's just one of those. He clearly sees a legal avenue to try it.
I completely understand.
He wants to make a point. That's why.
But these things happen, like the Thierry Henry handball against Ireland. I always bring that one up.
That's more of a.
That was egregious.
If I was Ireland right now, I would sue for that. I would see this whole thing.
and also making comparisons like Abu Dhabi 21. Well, Abu Dhabi 21, that was nothing to do with the drivers. That was a stewarding, refereeing decision.
Sue Michael Massey. Everyone sue everyone. That's it.
He signed apparently the rumor is he signed a non-disclosure, so he's actually literally legally not allowed to talk about Abu Dhabi 2021.
Really?
No joke. Yeah.
Timestamp on that. We'll get the autobiography one day.
Exactly.
We're getting him on the show.
Mate, statute of limitations on that NDA.
Easy money for Michael.
We're getting him on the last lap, and he will talk about it. I will ensure that he talks about it.
We'll make him. We'll lull him into a full sense of security.
Well, that's got to be a big bag for him to come through, though.
It's all right, Michael. We're just going to talk about boom Abu Dhabi 2021.
We'll get Minton to kind of soften him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a good boy, yeah. Look at him, he's just sounder. You wouldn't even know.
He's about Grand Prix. He's just tell him a story about exactly. 2021, and then he'll just tell the whole story to Minton.
He was there as well, obviously in Australia, so that was quite. There was, to be fair, there was some really lame people that literally went on with their phones. With a selfie and asked him about it to his face, which was I was watching. I was cringing so
I hate
much.
People do. Have you heard that? People have been turning up at Charles' house.
Yeah,
absolutely. Mental. Some people just piss me off, man. What is wrong with you?
For people that don't know, actually,
we're not brought up with
manners.
values.
Yeah, manners.
For people that don't know, basically he put out a story saying that obviously somehow his address got leaked, which. I mean, Monaco is literally the second smallest country in the world, and he's obviously a prominent figure. So his address got leaked, and apparently there's fans, in air quotes, that basically were ringing his door, asking him for pictures and autographs, which is just, to me, that is unbelievable. Go and touch some grass outside of Monaco. Do you know what I mean? Because
not his front garden.
That's nothing. The thing is, loads of people. Do you know what? Loads of people. Obviously, you had the entire Twitter saying, "Oh, that's DTS fans," stuff like that. But that has nothing to do with the sport. That's not even a sport thing. That is just a personal thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want someone turning up, to my mum's flat's door. I don't live in Monaco, unfortunately, but to get my picture. But that, could you imagine that happening at your door like that? It would be just crazy.
No, it's just the biggest possible breach of privacy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is literally where
that's your safe space.
Yeah, it's your safe space. I think. And then people, but I
think it's borderline stalking, by the way, as well.
Yeah, it is literally stalking. And people who have been to his house to go and get a picture will then go, "Oh, you don't care about your fans? No, you must be sick, bruv. You must be out of your mind." I know that's the reaction of certain people.
You didn't let me into your house, and you didn't let me in to get a picture.
What are you talking about? It's his house. Go to a fucking Grand Prix and get a picture with him or saying. What are you talking about?
And also, Charles, what makes it even worse is loads of people know, Charles is one of the best with fans. He always gives his time to Grand Prix. He always takes a picture. He's absolute content. I love Charles. So it's just one of those frustrating things. And obviously, it's people need to separate the whole Formula One thing. This is pure harassment and stalking from again, fans who are just mental.
Well, don't go to people's house. Actually, no, you might have been invited. Don't go to people's houses unless you've been invited.
Obviously, you wouldn't think you'd need to make that clear.
Yeah. Realistically, that shouldn't be.
Yes, these drivers have very incredibly privileged lifestyles, right? They multimillionaires, they live in Monaco, blah blah blah, right? But if anything, that makes the privacy of your own home even more important because he's going to get spotted all the time. He's Charles Leclerc walking around Monaco. He's like the home.
I mean, he
hometown
drives in a
hero.
one-of-one like Ferrari pista around Monaco.
And chases people who steal his watches as well.
Yeah, that was
you see
pretty
that?
nuts. Yeah.
Did you not see that?
What's this?
Oh, it's
Go on,
crazy.
Aldas.
So there was so this was last year. I think he had a watch stolen or something like that. And there's CCTV footage that's only emerged now for some reason.
He liked it because the Monaco local police I think shared it on Twitter and he liked it.
And it's pictures of him like racing in his pista, like chasing the people. I think like who stole his watch.
Or, like trying to find them. He's
Trying to find them. It was just crazy. I mean, I was like, what is going on here?
Did he get it back?
No, definitely not. I mean,
what? I'm not being funny. What would he have done if he'd actually have?
Charles is not a fighter, mate.
Charles is not.
He's not got that
He's
dog
not
in him.
Grown upon.
I can't imagine him scrapping.
He's a great driver, but he's not got that dog in him in a fist of his fight.
Who's got the best scrap on him?
I was literally
outside
about to
of
ask
club?
Lewis is a black belt. I mean, so
really?
Lewis
Yeah.
would fuck you up. Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
He would.
Okay.
The thing, do you know what?
I feel like Lewis has every skill imaginable.
It's
I just
unreal.
But
feel
Lewis
like,
is
I don't
very
know.
measured, so I don't think it'd get to that stage.
Yeah.
Self-defense, he'd fuck you up, but I don't think.
I mean, he's got
Yeah,
a peace
true.
sign on his merch. Like, you can't see
yeah.
through. Do you know what? I'll take my chances on Ocon because he might be 6'5",
Range.
7'5",
Range, yeah.
but he is. I mean, I could dodge him easy.
Max Verstappen was a bold man to start fighting him in Brazil.
Yeah.
He's massive.
Alonso's got samurai on his back, so I'm not messing with that.
Oh yeah, Fernando. And Fernando's neck as well. I mean, Fernando's neck's got its own.
Have you seen that picture? There's like in 2021 when he was like coming back. There's that picture that everyone like I think has seen of him like working out, and his neck is just like bulging out.
You would actually punch him, and his head just wouldn't move because his neck is just so stable. It's like a tree trunk. It's just like no movement at all.
These people, they're just driving circles. No, you've got to be an athlete now. You've got to be like on it.
We saw Nick De Vries. He couldn't even get out. He did. Yeah. And Nick De Vries is one of the most experienced kind of drivers. Last year he'd driven so many different so many different racing series, so many different cars. He had one race in Formula One, that Williams, race in Monza. He couldn't even get out of the car. He couldn't get out of the car by the end. That's how shattered he was. So I don't think people realize you need to go even karting for half an hour, you would be dead.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'm just imagining George Russell in a fight.
Nah. He'd break it up. You got that mate who always breaks up the fights.
Calm it down, lads. Calm it down.
Yeah. You need George Russell there
Crikey, mate.
to stop you putting yourself in jail for the night.
Yeah.
You need that friend.
Crikey, lad. Violence is not the way. That's what I'd imagine he'd say.
Yeah.
He'd say blimey, call blimey. And
Call blimey.
Call
Well,
it lads.
Chill out.
Blimey, lads. Fucking
There's one other statement I wanted to get into as well, and then we're going to go quickly wrap through driver ratings because we've had 3 races this year, so we want to go through each driver and give them a rating. But did want to mention there's Fred Vasseurs been having a little moan up about the Red Bull penalty for their overspend,
Right.
saying it wasn't enough.
Yep.
Now
You're not enough.
My first question, it's a yes or no. Would he be doing that if Ferrari
No.
won the first 2 out of 3 races of the season?
it's a no from me.
No,
a no,
exactly.
Jack.
It's just it's sour grapes. He's obviously 400k. When you look at because that's what the overspend I think essentially was.
Without the HMRC stuff, yeah. The
Exactly.
actual meaningful overspend.
Exactly. I think it was 440k or something. When you look at the gap Red Bull have over everyone else. Now, by the way, that doesn't excuse it. Let me just clarify that was wrong by Red Bull. I think they got off actually a bit lightly because they were messing around during the first year of the cost cap, which collapses, the entire point of the sport. But the gap that we're seeing now is not 400k's worth of overspend. You know what I mean? So it's purely that Ferrari are struggling. Their drivers are having a howler. Their car is clearly the ceiling of where their car is. Even if they do develop it more, is nowhere near the Red Bull. So they're just frustrated, I think, more than anything else.
I think also as well, just we saw Red Bull start to take off towards the end of last year. Anyway, second half of last year, did I say Red Bull or Ferrari just then?
Red Bull.
Okay, cool.
Red Bull
the Red Bull. I mean, Belgium, for example, the Red Bull has been dominant now for a hot minute anyway.
Yeah, it's
For
been
the whole second
dominant
half of last
for-
season.
Yeah.
It's not like we arrived just after the break of the cost cap and then suddenly Red Bull are amazing.
Yeah.
They've just had that advantage anyway, whether they've overspent or not.
Well, I think part of it is maybe the Ferraris had to turn their engines down. I don't know if that was confirmed, but there's been a lot of rumours that Ferraris, not just...
But I thought the whole reliability, throughout the off season, they were actually they were talking their reliability up. We've sorted everything from last year so that they don't.
This
have
is
to
what
turn their
Ferrari
engine
do,
around.
Aldas. They talk a big game, but do they deliver the goods?
No.
They've not got next day delivery.
No,
Crazy.
they need to invest in Prime, don't they? Really?
Invest in Prime. I'll invest in Prime. It's good energy drink.
Yeah. Get on it early doors.
We could get. Again, we need a sponsor down here. Just get Prime.
What do you think? Just to reiterate, and I guess look, ultimately, it's all well and good Fred moaning, but that penalty's been in place since October last year. That's not that this car that's racing now would have already been finished by that point. So, that car would have already been signed off, and pretty much been designed.
It's an evolution as well.
Yeah. So we're not going to see the punishment from this penalty for a while. So I don't really see the point in Fred saying what he's saying because we can't measure it really yet.
And especially it's because Red Bull are doing so well. So, I mean, what would you, if we were to measure, what would be a kind of, at what point would you think, okay, the impact is there now? We can see that Red Bull are being pegged back a little bit. What if they're
end of this season?
If they're not dominating by 20 seconds but winning a race by 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Then we say, that's that cost cap kind of penalty coming through because their advantage is so big. It's not just the cost cap, and that's why I feel like all of the teams are
credit
just
for
fine.
again. Because you look at the rest of the field, the whole field spread when you take away Red Bull from top from P2 to P10 is actually pretty mad close.
Yeah.
And you just got to give credit to Red Bull for just pushing the envelope. And yes, they overspent, but did they get? Is that where there's 400, 500 grand, whatever it is not generated all this performance in reality? But I agree that they should have been punished. I think they should have had their ATR halved personally, because I think it's not just about punishing. It's not just punishment fitting the crime.
ATR.
Take it.
No,
just
development.
divide it by 10.
No development at all.
Minus
mate.
development.
Yeah, you got to take parts off the car.
You got to
as it goes along.
demolish your wind tunnel.
Yeah,
just complete delete.
Drive an AlphaTauri for a year. That's what you get.
Yeah, just swap the cars, swap the paint jobs. Imagine if they did that just low key for one race. They just swap the paint jobs.
Yeah.
Hang on, that AlphaTauri looks different. Oh my god, it's so quick.
Oh my god.
Come on, Yuki.
Yuki's going to win the
winner.
championship. I'm buzzing. The V's still P6.
But I think it's that, but it's also just punishing them so much that no one even contemplates going close to this, because I don't want to be talking about cost cap again in October.
Yeah, there's, again, to reiterate, there's two different things. Vasseur is, I think, totally right in terms of it wasn't enough in my opinion, and they got away quite lightly. But at the same time, that doesn't justify Ferrari being bad.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, facts.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Facts.
Right. Driver ratings.
To do quick fire, boom.
5-minute driver ratings.
Number blam.
Let's start at the back. Nick De Vries, what are we giving him? Out of 10.
Out of 10. I'm going to go 4 out of 10.
Yeah, 4.
So far.
I hear it. Not at the measure.
3. I'm giving him 3.
Oh,
given his
harsh.
experience, I expected more.
I expected him to hit the ground running, to be honest. I'm not saying I was expecting, especially with the car, I wasn't expecting him to score points, but I thought he would be a lot
He's
closer
not a
to Yuki.
rookie, is he?
He's not a rookie.
I'm only willing to give him a 4 just because Sargent wiped him out of Australia, but he was at the back anyway. So.
And the team kind of shafted him in Jeddah as well, because he was the only driver to never drive that track either in Formula 1 or Formula 2, and the team had reliability issues in Jeddah, so he got no run at all.
True.
But at the same time,
he's got a lot.
But he's found himself in Australia. Why was he at the back? So it's a bit of the team and a bit of him as well.
Sonoda?
I'm going to give him a 6 actually. About a 6 or a 7.
7.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, 7.
think 7.
No, yeah. When I said 6, I was
6.5.
He's been good.
6.5. I'm just harsh. Actually, no, 7 because I like him.
No, I was going to say. His vibes.
Just
I
vibes.
think P11, P10. He was on the cusp of
Yeah,
points.
true. Yeah, definitely a 7.
He's done a really good job. I don't think outstanding yet, because it's difficult to benchmark
Hard
him
to
with
measure
Pierre
it,
Gasly now gone. Maybe he's actually having a howler. Maybe that car's actually the third best car in the grid.
Nah, it's not.
But yeah,
I've seen the It ain't. It's
No
not.
shot.
But I think P11, P10, that's a good start to the season. And also, more for Yuki, he's kept it clean. No incidents, no silly driving into the barrier out of the pits or, driving into De Vries.
Foolishness.
It's one of them, the points aren't going to tell the full story when you're only giving points to the top 10 and you finish P11 twice.
Yeah, it's harsh.
Yeah.
Bless him.
Sergeant?
I'd say honestly a 6. I would have given him a 7 if it wasn't for the Australian incident. I was actually really impressed with him at Bahrain.
6.
I'm
For
say
a
6 as
debutant
well.
in a Williams, I genuinely think he's matched album
For the
pretty
first 3 races, though, I'm going to give him a 5. I think he's been okay, exactly 5 out of 10, because I think he had a great race in Bahrain. That opening lap, I don't know if you guys saw, was amazing. But
it's
then
very good.
he bottled it in quali in Jeddah as well. I think he crashed a little bit, made a mistake.
Yeah, but that was so unlucky. He actually outqualified
It was,
Alex.
but he had another lap. That's Formula 1.
He did have another lap.
He had
I
I think he had 2 laps afterwards.
But
actually.
as a rookie, to go quicker in dry conditions than Alex Albon, Like Latifi
And
never
would have
did
been through to Q2. I know it's a lot of ifs and buts, but I think
I'm not saying he's been
just-
bad. I think 5 out of 10. He's been good. He's been solid. 5 out of 10. That's kind of where
it's like rookie ironing out mistakes.
Yeah, for sure.
Really.
Albon.
If it wasn't
that
for
Australia, man.
if it wasn't for Australia, I'd probably give him an 8 or a 9. But
Did
I'm going
you
to go
see
7.
James Vale's breakdown actually of the incident?
I
It's
did.
really interesting.
I can't believe that
Really
that's the. I think I
Talking
actually.
about tire temperatures and how it kind of the it was set off earlier, basically.
Right.
Because he actually went around that
earlier.
corner slower than he did the previous lap, and that's what kind of I think dropped the tire temps because he went on the grass a little bit. But had it not been for Australia, where I think he would have been in the points, no doubt.
7.
He's a bit of an Australia. I think 7 is about right, but he's been really good. I'm happy to see Alex because we had these talks at the end of I think 2021. Like there was pressure on him to be that number 1 driver in 2022. He's delivered. Like he's really been great.
Definitely. K-Mag?
Do you know what? Like I'm actually going to go only 5. Like I know he scored
I'm
points
going
in
lower
Jeddah,
than
but
that.
his
Going lower than that.
the quality gap between him and Hulk has been a bit worrying.
3.
And then he binned it as well.
I think maybe, Australia somewhat saves him. I'm saying 4. Disappointing.
What do you mean saves him? He binned it. Don't you remember?
Oh, no, sorry. I was talking about Jeddah.
Is that him snoring, by the way?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Unbelievable.
He's bored of
That was him
working.
saying a 3.
Minton says 3.
Minton
Yeah,
says
maybe a
3.
3 actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Expectations.
Hulkenberg coming back into. I mean, look, listen. I'm sorry, Hulkenberg. Yeah, I'll sign the apology letter. Yeah, I was leading the ship against him. Do you know what I mean? I was captain. I am
of the
captain
Armada.
now. Yeah. against
No,
Nico
no more
Hulkenberg.
though than Matt Amos. When are we going to see him though?
yes.
He was slating Hulkenberg
Yeah.
last year. Get him on the show.
Get rid
If
of
Amos.
that.
Hulkenberg to
Get
come
ready.
back and be beat him.
Well, where are
like-
we saying Hulk then?
I think Hulk has been, honestly, I think he's been like an 8. Like he's been really good. He's actually exceeded my expectations. He's
Because
kept
of
it,
the time off as well.
Because of the
3 years
time
out
off.
of a full-time seat.
and also the quality gap to his teammate. It's difficult to know where that car is, but the quality gap in just, I know 3 races is not a lot, but he is, I think he's like over 6/10 quicker than K-Mag. And then also got a little bit,
that's mad.
he got a little bit unlucky, I think, in that first race. kind of
Very
clip.
unlucky, yeah.
So I think for what, and had the lap stood, the whole like Australia, they went on countback, and Sainz still got his penalty, he would have been on the podium. So it's just
Yeah.
these little margins in rules,
8.
I think. So I'm going to go 8, which might be a bit too much, but
That's fair. Yeah, I'm going to go 7.5 just purely because I have to keep my agenda. But
There you go.
Other than that, like
agenda
Loyal
over
to your agenda.
loyalty over agenda.
agenda over facts. I love it.
Always got to be agenda over facts.
I respect it.
Valtteri Bottas.
He's had a howler.
Very
I don't-
good first race.
Do you know what's not? Yeah, he was unreal in that first race,
Forgot on
but
the first race.
Bahrain P8.
Bahrain.
P8. So
Qualified Joe.
that definitely balances it out. But
P8.
I'm going to go 4 out of 10 because the last 2 races, what has happened to him?
Stinky.
Surely it was damage at Jeddah. Because
Yeah.
he was like in a different. He was
I
driving
dunno.
a 2 car.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they said there was. I think he's just unhappy with the car, unhappy with the balance. He was
Oh,
talking
well.
after Australia.
Yeah.
If there's no damage, then yeah, it's 4.
Yeah, 4.
If there's damage, then it's 5.
Joe?
I think, again, nothing stunning. I think maybe a 5 or a 6. I'm going to go 6 because I think he in qualifying he's really stepped it up against Valtteri, but no more than a 6. I think it's difficult. It's difficult to gauge Alfa Romeo, like where that car is. I think
no idea
I think
what the
no
car
one is
is,
talking
yeah.
about. I
Car's
think
dead.
Mahad, who've had on the show, he tweeted like no one is talking about Alfa Romeo. They can be like absolute. They can have stinkers and no one even notices.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go 6 for Joe, but it's difficult to know where that car is.
Yeah, I'd say 6.
It's a howler. That car's shocking.
It was like so good this time
Looks
last
good.
year.
yeah, it looks all. Yeah, it looks
I think it's because
alright, yeah, it looks
they were
alright.
at the weight limit and then they couldn't add performance by taking weight away. Everyone else could. And I just think they've just been left behind because they can't add over to that car somehow. Piastri.
Oh, it's so difficult.
I mean, he's been so unlucky.
the first 2 races are just a
I'd say
write-off.
6.
Yeah.
I'd say 6. I think he's done well like relative to Lando.
Yeah, I think 6 is about. I think he
Jeddah
has.
qualifying, for example, was top quality.
Lando's already said that Oscar's pushing him harder than he's been pushed for a while.
Yeah. Wouldn't have that if it was Daniel Ricciardo, by the way.
Daniel Ricciardo crying in a corner somewhere.
Maybe he's talking about Carlos
make a
Sainz. Who knows? As well. Maybe.
Also, that's a lie. Like it's blatantly a lie because I'm not saying Sainz had like Lando in his pocket because that'd be totally like over exaggerating it, but Sainz was the stronger driver.
Well, maybe that's what he's referring to. Maybe he's referring to the science era.
Maybe, yeah.
I'd
But yeah,
probably
Oscar,
say-
I'm gonna go 6 because I feel like it was the first 2 races are total write-offs. Q3 to get into Q3 in Jeddah, I think was
impressive.
very impressive.
Yeah.
And just to keep it clean in his home race, a lot of pressure to be an Australian at your home race, during your rookie season. So he's not been spectacular, but he's actually surprised me with how good he's been.
Yeah,
So
I'm
six.
probably gonna. Yeah, I'll say 6.5. I think
Should we just
that
go like
qualifying was really impressive.
no one can take the number you've just took. We need to. Everyone's just gonna go the same.
Lando.
Yeah.
Lando. Got a wrap
seven.
through. Got 3 minutes, boys.
Okay, he's to me Lando's a 7. He had a howler in Jeddah in qualifying, which is
Yeah.
the first like bad race and bad like weekend I've seen from Lando for
Yeah,
a while.
I'd
but
say 7.
Yeah, there
He
was like his
re-
own error as
he
well.
really made up
Wally.
for it in Australia. So 7.
7.
Yeah, fairs.
7. Ocon. Not great.
I'm gonna go
5.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go 5.
Five.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, he's been good. Nothing more.
Yeah, it's bang average. Gasly.
Oh, if it hadn't been
6, but you can't be 6 because you
that's
can't.
such a-
You cannot be slapping it into your own teammate like
It'd
that.
be a 7 if it wasn't for the shunt. I think I've got to
and
give
also
it
the
a
howler.
five as well.
I know he made up for it, but the how he qualified last in Bahrain. So which is
Yeah.
good. I'm gonna go.
Five.
Well, he qualified last in Bahrain, but didn't make it back to get points. So it was a good comeback.
I think he
drive in the
did.
end.
Yeah, he did. I think he got into 10th, so he got like 1 point. I'm gonna go 5 for Gasly, but
was I
maybe that's a bit harsh.
Science.
Forgot he wasn't even on the grid.
Yeah, same. No, actually, no,
4.
that's harsh.
I'm gonna go 4.
Yeah, maybe 4. 4 or 5, isn't it?
I mean, he took Alonso out. That could have been a big chance for potentially.
Yeah,
you know,
4. He's just looked off it, hasn't he? He's looked off. He's
Yeah.
looked off his game relative to Shaw.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because it is its own error as well.
Yeah.
He goes from like fighting for a
And it's just
podium
been
to out
off
of
the pace
points.
relative to. It's just been slower.
Yeah.
Shaw.
I'm gonna go 7. I think,
Worldie of equality.
Charles
in
really
Saudi.
hard to judge in it because
and I think Bahrain as well. Was he not on? Was
I'm
he?
going to
I
give him
think
an
he was
8.
third.
I think Charles been really good. I think considering.
he's been unlucky.
I think that
Yeah, in
Australia thing it was just a silly little error. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's massively his fault, but
Yeah.
7 out of 10 I'm going to go.
first lap.
I think he's driven really well though. I think that he was unlucky there.
I think he probably would have grabbed the podium in Bahrain.
And also, actually
Went
keep in
for
mind,
a breakdown.
actually, yeah, because the Bahrain he got that reliability issue as well. So yeah,
I'm gonna give him 8.
I think
I'm gonna go
I
7.
think he would have been clear of Alonso. I don't think Alonso would have caught him in Bahrain. So yeah, I'm probably going to go for an 8.
Hamilton.
I think 8. I think he's been in qualifying. He's definitely took a different kind of approach this weekend, where he's a lot more about the races. He's dropped off a little bit in qualifying.
Yep.
No doubt about we're usually used to seeing Lewis, slap up his teammates in quali, but I think George has out qualified him in every single session so far. But in the races, he's right there. He's still right there in the races, which you see that experience, that championship winning experience.
I think I'll give them both an 8.
What, him and Russell?
Yeah.
I'm going to give Russell an 8 as well. I think he got really unlucky in Australia in terms of that reliability issue.
Yeah.
I think he would have been right up there.
We're doing a big driver bias, by the way, here. We didn't give anyone an 8 down the order.
Yeah. Well, they're at the front for a reason. Well,
Yeah, but they're
okay, not the
yeah,
front,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they're towards the front for a reason. But I think they've been good. I think they're so solid. Them two. Stroll. Expectations make me want to give him an 8, but I'm going to give him a 7.
I'm going to give him a 7. It's
I'm a
again with the whole
7.5.
hand thing. Like I think Baku is going to be the first time where I think he's going to be kind of back to his best. So you've got to take that into account. But at the same time, he's driving a really good car. But he's been really solid. Don't get me wrong. So I think 7 is actually really good for Stroll. I think he's only going to get better actually
Well,
as
yeah,
he goes.
because he did well at Jeddah, but then obviously broke down. That's completely out of his control. That he got lucky in Australia. The little bottle job at the
He
end.
got very-
That's not gonna
Yeah, he
lie.
Don't think that we didn't see that. by the way.
That was the old Stroll coming back there
yeah,
for a
it
hot
was a kind of a
second.
bit,
so.
wasn't it?
Oh wait, the brake pedal is on the left.
Yeah. Oh shit, mate.
yeah.
We'll give him
I'm going to go 7. Yeah,
7.5.
Okay.
Real generous.
Fernando.
I'm going to go 9 for Fernando.
Yeah,
I feel like
I'm thinking this might be the first
I think he
time.
just misses out because of Australia. I think him and Lewis had a very similar car, but Lewis was able to stay ahead and match him on pace. So I'm going to go a 9, but he's been as close to perfect as you can get.
P3s. 3 P3s. Boom. 9.
3 podiums, man, in that little Aston Martin.
Cute.
Oh, Fernando, what a man.
Little green.
What are you guys going with though? I'm going to go 9.
Yeah, I'm 9.
Yeah, 9. I think 9.1.
Very good.
I have to be different.
should have done it out of 100, shouldn't we? 91 out of 100. Okay, Perez.
I'm going to go 8, which might be a bit kind of. He did come home P2 in Bahrain. He completed that 1-2. He was quite far off Max. He did the job that he needed to do in Jeddah. I know Max was kind of out of the picture, but then that crash, I think, really and I was not impressed by his recovery drive. Only in that Red Bull to only get up to P6 or P5 in the end.
Yeah.
I actually expected
With a
it
lot
better.
of carnage as
With
well.
a
There was
lot
a
of,
lot of
with
carnage.
the field closing up because of the restarts. So
I'm going to give him an 8 as well. I think all in all,
I'm giving him a 7.
He was very unlucky in qualifying. I'm sure that was a car issue. I believe that was a car issue.
Yeah,
that
it
he
was a
had.
brake issue, wasn't it?
So like the car was just dragging, like going forward.
It wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. Australia isn't the easiest place to pass. It wasn't the greatest recovery.
yeah, I just
7.5.
I just
Those
expected
DRS
a little bit more,
Yeah.
especially with that like the DRS handicap that the Red Bull has.
Yeah, got slapped in Bahrain as well. So
And the Supermax.
10.1, isn't it?
Has it been a 10? I don't think it's been a 10.
nah.
I mean, he's literally the only mistake he's made is when the car bottled it and broke down in Jeddah. If we're being realistic, he wins. He qualifies on pole for every single race, and he wins every single race. Had it not been for his car letting him down in Jeddah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. True. Fair.
Yeah. I think it's probably a 10, isn't it?
Enough. Okay. No, 9.5.
Okay. Okay. 9.5.
Whether you could, he should have fixed
went on the
car
grass.
there
He
and
went on the
then.
grass in Australia.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God. All right, 9.9.
Not punished, but he went on the grass.
Yeah. Exactly.
right.
He should have fixed the
It's
car.
because he had a
there and
30-second lead. Like, that's why he wasn't punished.
He could. Right, let's wrap it, boys. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate you taking the time, Aldas. Thank you for coming, mate. Pleasure as always.
It was an intro. I took the bus for the first time in 3 years. It was a journey.
3 years.
Boo-hoo. Bus is great. I love a bus. What can they find us, Niran?
Yeah, so if you are listening on Spotify, then please do feel free to give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us out. Other audio platforms are available. If you're watching on YouTube, then feel free to like and subscribe, turn notifications on. You can also view on Pets at Home.
Repping his favourite place.
Yeah. You can view there, and also on an old Panasonic TV from 1999. You can view us there too as well.
Couldn't have wrapped it up better myself.
Easy.
Cheers, everyone. See you next time.
In a bit, lads.
Bye-bye.
Bye.